session brought to you by Direct Rate of Alumni Affairs, where we directly bring you the alumni straight on your screen and you can ask anything to them and get your queries sorted. So, for our today's guest speaker, we have Mr. Vaibhav Sharma. Mr. Vaibhav Sharma is a 2016 graduate from SRM. He has done his undergraduate in psychology and has did his master's from Grenoble College of College of Management from Paris. He's currently working on his startup. He has a lot of qualities in him. He is also a Toastmasters International. He has a lot of speaking certificates. He's a B1 level French speaker also. So without wasting any time, let's get to meet the man as he's going to deliver a talk about entrepreneurship and business development. Over to you,
Um,
sir.
okay. Hello, everyone. Uh, I guess it's around like 5 p.m. in India. So I don't know how is the weather in Chennai, but it's the same everywhere. It's super hot. But I hope everything is nice. And so let's get started. I'll just give a small introduction about me, and then I'll be talking about my life in SRM, how things went for me after my university, what did I do, and the kind of mistakes that I made. And I'm sure, all of us has to go through that phase, and then we realize a lot of things. So I just wanted to share my learnings. Okay, so I'll just share my screen and I'll show you guys the small presentation. All right. So I hope everything is fine. Soumya, if there's anything wrong, then just send me a chat. Okay, like send me a text. All right. So okay, nice. So entrepreneurship. No. So, but before that, let's talk about my life in SRM and some tips about what I did in SRM and how you can make it like really nice, fun, and something to learn from that. So I did my bachelor's in information technology. Fun story. Went there for food processing initially, but the time I went for the counseling, food processing actually closed, and then I was good in computers at that time. So then I chose information technology, and that's how it started. And so I did my bachelor's in information technology at Tech Park. And during my bachelor's, I did a lot of things. Starting from first year, I had to struggle at in the hostel, but then I made a lot of friends. Everything is like really nice. And after that, in my second year, I started realizing that I have to focus on my studies as well. And I was always like a average student. I would say like near 8 CGPA, not something great, but not something bad as well. Like just I used to have fun as well, and I used to study as well. During our time, there was this organization called Brains or SRM Search Engine. Honestly speaking, I don't know if it is still working or not. But during that time, one of our seniors had started this organization, SRM Search Engine, and it was really reputed at that time. And we all had to go through the process of getting in. And I worked there for 3 years, from I think from my second year to final year. And I was the deputy head of marketing and HR at the like during my final year. And it was a great experience working in that team. Also, I participated in various workshops because during my time, I wanted to explore like different interests. I was not certainly a very technical guy, and so I used to go to some workshops. I used to experiment with my interests as well. Uh, my third year, I think I shifted in my third year, and I was there in abroad for in my third and fourth year. And you know what happens at abroad, and I know life is really nice there. Sometimes it can get annoying, but you chill a lot. That's the fact. So that's where you understand that. That's where you need to understand that chilling is super fun, but you will also lose out on crucial time if you don't balance it with important work. During my final year, I went for placements, but I like as I had around 8 CGPA, I could not sit for some companies, and also as I told you, I was not great at technical. I was more of a marketing guy, and everything about me was more about business. So I was not even that much inclined to, like give my best during that time. But that session of sitting in the placement, that is going to be interesting for the ones who haven't sat, but for the ones who are going to sit, in the coming time, you just have to be confident and just prepare well. Everything should be fine. And so I got recruited at TCS, Cognizant, and Infosys. But as I told you, I got frustrated with the recruitment process, and I just found myself to be a misfit. So I just believe that I needed some more time to think about my interests, and then maybe move on to something else. So based on these things, I'll just give you some tips. That one thing is that you should always join an organization to be involved and learn from your seniors. Uh, just one thing, if you guys have any comments or anything, you can just put it right now. And if you have any questions also, like, I'll be happy to answer during the seminar as well. So one thing is that you should join an organization to be involved. Like, this is a must. No matter in which stream you are, doesn't matter. There are like a lot of organizations that suits your interest. Maybe it is the music group, I guess, or maybe it is painting, art. Like that is the beauty of SRM. That no matter what is your interest, you'll always find something good. You'll always find a community where you can really feel that you belong to. So find that, spend some time finding that, just talk to yourself that what is it that I like to do and what is it that suits my interest, and go for that organization and join it. Another thing is that your seniors will be your best friends, not only in terms of helping you with your academics, but also in giving you, life tips, because they have already went through the same process. So they will really be very helpful. During our time, also, we used to, like, respect our seniors a lot. We used to consider them very helpful, and we did have great relationships with them. Another thing is that start reading books. That is one thing that I'll be saying throughout my presentation. But start reading books, and what kind of books do you need to read should be based on what is the kind of things that you want to do in your future. Okay, so what I would suggest is just start talking with different kind of people. Have a diverse set of friends. For example, I mean, you should have your friends. You should have your group with whom you want to chill, but you should also have friends who are, for example, in other departments, or who are doing some really different kind of work, because this is your time to learn about diversity. This is SRM. The best thing that SRM can provide you is diversity, although it can sometimes be a little overwhelming. But still, you should get out of your comfort zone, go out there, start getting in contact with different kinds of people, and start exploring yourself. So that is how you will grow, during your college years. Other thing is that if you're in second year, or your third year, probably I would suggest you to start thinking about your future. um, well, honestly speaking, it is not easy at all. And I'm not saying that you should, just decide a path that you want to do an MBA, or maybe you want to become an IAS, or no, it doesn't work like that. What you need to do is think about who you are, first of all. What is it that you relate to, and what is it that you want to do later in your life, in which you won't regret, missing out doing. So that is how you should consider these things. Maybe reading some self-help books will really help you a lot. Maybe, like, just start talking with your parents as well. I think that will really, they are people who will uh, talk to you with their experience. So start thinking about your future, and then, based on some research of 3-4 months and deep introspection, decide that what you want to do. And from third year, maybe start preparing for whatever that you want to do. And even if you aren't successful, that doesn't matter. What matters is that you have started on your journey. That is what is important, because your journey should be well thought of and well planned, but it doesn't have to be a set path. So yes, the last thing is, as I told you, that I used to chill a lot. And I remember that I spent a lot of time doing a lot of things that can be considered chilling, but I think I lost on crucial time when I think about it now. So you just have to be smart about things, like you can do whatever you want to do, but you just have to do it in a certain time frame so that you don't lose out on your crucial time. Because honestly speaking, I think 4 years is a long time. Once you get out of college, you'll realize that even 4 months and like 1 year can bring a major difference in your life goals, right? So if you are ahead in your planning, and if you are ahead in the way that you want to approach your life, it will be really helpful in the future. So start planning things, start learning things, and relax as well. Okay, so what happened after SRM then, huh? After SRM, as I told you that, I mean, I got recruited and I did not really want to join any of the companies, because honestly speaking, one thing that technical development was never my thing. I always knew that I was never great at it. I mean, I was not a bad coder, or I was not a bad, like, because IT was my field. I was not someone who was bad at doing that, but it just did not, interest me a lot. I mean, I had the ability to do that, but I just did not feel that it is something that really interests me. It keeps me going. It did not do that. So that's when I realized that I cannot do something which I really do not belong to. And well, I would consider myself lucky as well, because my parents were quite supportive, and they told me that like, you can take a sabbatical year, and like, you can start preparing for different things. And well, honestly speaking, there was also the in Hindi we call it the entrepreneurship ka keeda. So the startup buzz was already there from 2012 to, like, this is the decade of the entrepreneurship buzz. So as I was always the guy who used to, I was part of the marketing team at SRMSC, and I was part of many campaigns in SRM. I was the guy who used to communicate well, and I was the guy who used to, lead people. So I just had the confidence in me that maybe, like, whatever kind of startup that I do, that it should be fine. I'll at least end up learning something. So during my final year, I think I realized a problem with printing shops there at SRM and Potheri. I don't know why, but I just found that, like, they're super inefficient. People have to stand in queues for long, and like, just simple things. For example, if you can just put your documents on cloud or anything, and if you get like, print the documents, you could get it very easily. It will make the whole system very efficient. Then you won't have to waste time. You know in For example, waiting for the queue, or just I just not like the process. So I just thought maybe I'll start making it efficient. I talked with one of my friends in SRM, and we both were from Ahmedabad. So then later we both moved to Ahmedabad, and he started working in his job as well, but I wanted to take a gap year. So I just thought that I'll just work on the project, and I'll do something interesting as well during my sabbatical year. So that's what I did. What I did is that I went back to my city. I started working on this project, and the second thing that I started doing is that I started joining programs. Like, I did a diploma in sales. There's this association in Ahmedabad called Ahmedabad Management Association. It's really nice because it gives you the opportunity to learn from veterans. For example, there will be people who have already 25 years of experience, and it is more like a very management kind of institute, but also it is funded by the government, so you don't have to worry about spending lots of money. So then I did programs like diploma in sales. I did some public speaking courses. Meanwhile, I started working on my startup project. I also thought of other opportunities in the future, and this is what was, like, all the things that were going on during my after I moved back to my home. And that is when I started realizing a lot of things about business. It's really nice to think of starting a company, and I would encourage all of you to start thinking about doing anything innovative, irrespective of whether it can become a company or not. Doesn't matter. You see, there are two kinds of mindset according to me. One is what makes you innovate. That is when you want to solve a problem, right? And that is what is called innovation, and that comes from your purpose to solve a problem. And the other thing that is there is to make money from that, and that is when business comes in it. So you need to understand that entrepreneurship is the beginning part, where you start innovating to solve a problem, and but the later part to make the money is as important as the first part, and these are the things that you will learn with time. Okay, so then what I understood is that with B2C printing, with a printing portal and something like that, I could not make a lot of money, because it had, first of all, it had to be like a B2C. What it means is that business to customers. So basically, if I make an app and if it is available to all of you, like everyone, if it is on App Store, then it means that it is a B2C app, for example, because it is to all the customers. And if I make something for B2B, which means business to business, so I make an app only for a company, right? So that is called a B2B. So I realize that in B2C, when I have to deal directly with all the customers, it is very difficult to start a company with very less profit initially. So what it means is that with small margins and large operations, it is highly difficult to be profitable. Honestly speaking, I know that all of you students must be feeling that this sentence is a little too complex, but what I would suggest is that just write down the sentence or just keep a copy of this, because this is what you will learn in a business school. This is what is really important. And if you have any kind of question as well on this, maybe you can shoot it. So moving on, then I realized that what I can do is that maybe I can move to B2B printing, and because it had large margins, so maybe I can make money from there. So what we did is that we started ground research. We started going shop to shop to understand the industry, and we realized a lot of things. We realized that there is a big difference between quality and price, and maybe what we could do is that we could make money if we knew the right people. But and then that is the same time when I was brainstorming and like going to different networking groups. And by a networking group, what I mean is that, like, in every city there are groups where people meet to discuss their business and to promote their business. That is called a networking group in terms of in the context of business, right? So that is when I started going to the business networking groups, and we joined an incubator, a government incubator, the Gujarat University's secondary and something entrepreneurship council, something like that. And it was a government incubator, and it did not charge us any equity. Like, even it could fund us around 50,000 rupees, and we could get an office space and everything was available. And the best part was that there was like mentorship from the people who were running it. So that is when we started meeting other people, and I also started reading books a lot. Like, I went deep into entrepreneurship. I wanted to do it everything by myself, so I spent time, but I learned everything by myself. And then I realized that no matter what business you do, it has to be scalable, it has to add value in the overall process, and you need to be profitable. What And there's a difference between profit and profitable, and that you will learn later, but it is super important to understand what is profitable. Means that you are ultimate. So for example, I can buy my mobile phone for 10,000 rupees, and if I sell it for 12,000, then I make a profit of 2,000. But there are different costs, and there are different the overall revenue would make it in a way that, for example, I could have other costs as well, not just the buying. It is a very simple example to give, but what is profitable is when you are in plus. In a very simple manner, when you calculate all your numbers about spending and making, and whenever you are in positive, that is your profits. And your profits will actually also get deducted by other costs like taxes, for example, and that is your net profit, and that is what makes you profitable. So enough of the business lesson. This is what is important, is to understand that scaling is super important. What scaling means is that you might be able to start a restaurant in Potheri, but will it be scalable? Uh, by that, what I mean is that, will you be able to open that same chain in 5 areas in Chennai or not? That is your first question. Will you be able to scale that? Will you be able to scale your operations in the longer term? How will you do it? From where will you get the money? If you get the money, will you be able to make more profits? How will you get the customers? You have to start questioning things. But what is important is to realize that, are your customers so much interested in your product that you can make it like really scalable? you know so this is the one thing that you need to understand, scalability. The other thing is value addition. And yes, one more thing, partnership, right? So as I told you, my partner was working, and I wasn't working. I wanted to give full time to entrepreneurship and my other interests, but my partner was working. And then initially everything was okay, but then there came a point when we had to discuss about our futures, and we need to be frank, because what happened is that my partner, he started, he had some certain interests as well, and then he just thought of doing a master's later, and I did not have any problem with it, but it was just that it was too uncertain for me to continue the project if my partner wasn't there, because we weren't like a 5 people company. We were only 2 people who were working on a startup project. And I was also, and also the other thing is that I learned a lot during my networking sessions and by reading books, and I realized that maybe I should learn the whole process and then redo it, so that my probability of success improves over time. So the tips will be, first is to get over your comfort zone. Definitely, no matter what. Yeah, like, I know, like, the life that you're having right now, I don't know how comfortable it is, but there will be parts which are comfortable and there will be parts which are out of your comfort zone. So start going out of your comfort zone gradually. Don't overdo things. Don't, just become an entrepreneur in one day. Start thinking about it, start planning, and start doing it gradually. That is how you have to make it happen. Other thing is, read books. Definitely start reading books about whatever you want to do, and research well. Do a lot of research, and by research, what I mean, the best way to learn, to do research or to do anything, you to learn anything about an idea, is to meet fellow people who have done the same. Get in touch with people who have already done something similar. Get in touch with other entrepreneurs in SRM who are already working on their projects. I'm sure there must be a lot of students who are thinking of just starting a project, or just doing an organization, or just doing anything that is entrepreneurial. So it doesn't have to be a startup, but it has to be entrepreneurial. So that, what I mean by that is that it has to be, you have to lead a group, and you have to think of making something creative in the process. Other thing is that be frank in discussing future with your co-founders. uh, so you should be very frank in discussing whatever you want to do in the future, whatever you think should be done. And there will be uncomfortable talks, there will be times where you will risk your friendship as well. But not to make you sad or anything, but business is business. And what business means is that you really need to be straightforward. You really need to tell what you think is your case, and you need to ask them what do they think, and what is the best that both of you, or all your, like, all the partners can come together and find a solution. So that really helps. Never be shy. Don't think that it will break your friendship. Being honest will never break anything. Being honest just make sure that you are secure in the future. Okay. uh, Another thing is that network extensively, learn from experience. So network extensively means start going out, start joining groups, start, there are so many communities about everything. If you want to start a restaurant, I don't know, maybe you should start going to communities where they talk about food, or maybe you should start going to communities where they talk about upcoming ideas on apps on food, like anything that is related to your idea. You should start going there, you should start talking to people, and you should learn from their experiences. Other thing is that you should take out time for your hobbies. And what is, I mean, there will be, sorry to disturb you, just a minute. I don't know if I can see the questions if I have put my screen. Sorry, sir. Yes, I can see it now. Okay. Shoot. Tell me the question. I can't actually, honestly speaking, I could not see the question on my screen before. Soumya, just help me out here. So, how do I see the question on my screen? Or just send me the question in the private chat, and I'll continue with my presentation as well. Or do one thing, just send me the question on WhatsApp. I can see it on my mobile phone, and then I'll answer you and answer all the people. Uh, all right. So, where was I? Okay. I'm going to put my screen again. So if you have any questions, just send me a message on my number. All right. So the next thing is take out time for your hobbies. Okay. The year that I had in between where I wanted to experiment with my things, I also learned, because in during my university year, I did not get an opportunity to really get a chance to show my talent. I mean, I had some things, but I could never learn it. I always wanted to learn more, and that's why I wanted to learn. Um, so just a minute. Question on screen. All right. Oh yeah. Sorry. What kind of people are required in a startup group? Okay. Uh, well, honestly speaking, it depends on the kind of thing that you want to do, but generally whatever startup that you are thinking about should have certain aspects. For example, one thing is that it should have a planner, a strategy, the main person, or the visionary, the founder who really has the vision or who has the confidence of doing things, and the person who can get the other people in the team. So that is the one person. The other thing is that the all the other founders should have complementary skills, or they all should be have a common vision. The most important thing is that you should have a common vision. You should have common values as well, not just a common vision. What I mean by that is that you all should be honest enough to talk up with each other. You all should be mature enough to understand things, and that is all. I mean, for example, you can have like a marketing expert in as a founder. One can be a technical expert, and one can be the CEO, or one can be the person who runs the company. So it depends. Everything depends on the kind of product or project that you want to do, and it doesn't have to require any kind of founders as well. It doesn't always require you to go and find other founders. Maybe you can just start doing things by yourself. It's not a bad proposition. You don't necessarily have to go for funding. You don't necessarily have to go by the things how media tells you. You can just start off building a project by yourself, and then move on in the process. If you think that you're lacking in some kind of skills, you can move on and start talking with other people who might be able to help you in the process. And if you both have a common vision, if you both understand the mission, the overall project uh, purpose, then yes, those people can be your co-founders. All right, any other questions, or can I continue with my okay? How to overcome shyness? uh, Hi Lakshay, and hi the other guy. Hi friend, sorry, I just was not I'm really sorry, I was not able to address you before. Okay, so hi Lakshay, how to overcome shyness? All right. I mean, it's a very difficult question. Honestly speaking, I have always been extroverted. I have always been a person who could go out to people and just start talking. And I know that it can be super difficult for someone who hasn't done it. And the best thing what you can do is start reading books. For example, you can start watching videos as well. Like, there are a lot of speakers who can inspire you. There are a lot of, for example, Tony Robbins is really nice. I like him. Tony Robbins is nice. You should start with that. There's a book called Awaken the Giant Within. You can start with that. Then there's another speaker, Darren Hardy. He's also really nice. In India, also there are some really nice speakers. Like, for example, there's Ankur Variku. I think he's good. I watch his videos on LinkedIn. So what I mean to say is that you how to overcome shyness is by going out. You have to get out of your comfort zone. Just go in a group. If you don't want to talk, no problem. The first step is to go out and start doing it, and then whatever happens is the next thing. Just keep getting out of your comfort zone. Keep learning from other people. Just as you asked me, you have to ask other people. They'll give you nice advice. Start implementing them. And yeah, please tell me. All right, so any other question? Should I move? Okay. Yes. Where was I? Take out time for your hobbies. I learned classical music. I learned French, and it was a nice time because I did a lot of activities, and I just spent time with myself. And I will never regret not taking my job because I ended up learning a lot of things. The yes. So don't be shy of failures. Embrace them and think objectively and less emotionally. So this is very important in life. What I mean to say is that there will be failures no matter what you do, no matter the safest option you take, there will be failures. You just have to start thinking objectively. You have to start thinking why did it happen, and it could happen to anyone, and how can you make yourself better so that your probability increases, right? And try to get rid of emotions, because when we are losing, or we are failing in something, it's normal for any one of us to get emotional about it, but start thinking objectively. It will help you a lot. Okay, so this is what I did after my masters. Sorry, after my sabbatical year, I decided to do my masters in innovation strategy and entrepreneurship. And I found this course like super interesting because there was this proposition that they would take us to the Silicon Valley for around 10 days, so that we could meet other alumni, and we could go around and visit campuses. And the other thing was that we could have a company, we could act as consultants the whole year. Like for example, we were a group of people who acted as consultants for a company, and so we could get professional experience. So that was really, like, super interesting for me. And I have just tried to like cut short, and I'm just going to tell you now what is entrepreneurship, and just give you simple tips so that you can take them and start researching about it, right? So what is it that you need to know? One thing is that you need to understand basic business. You can't do any business if you can't understand economics, finance, and strategy, right? So you need to understand economics. What is economics is simple. There's supply and there's demand. How does it happen? What are the factors that make it happen? And how can you make sure that you are aware of the economics that are going around, right? Next thing is finance. By finance, what I mean is that the amount of money that is coming and the amount of that is money that is going, the whole chart, like the whole flow of money, you should be able to understand that so that you can keep accounts of what is it that you're doing, and ultimately be profitable in the future. And strategy is something that makes you understand what has been happening till now in the business world, and what can you do in the future so that you can make a profitable company, right? So these are some of the things that you can learn. Maybe you can start reading books about them. I have already recommended some books, and if you want to start doing these things, you can start with these books. Other thing is that innovation. Okay, so innovation is. I'm sorry, I'll just take a moment. Okay, so innovation, right? Innovation does not come out of just thinking. It will never come out of just thinking. It is not an abstract term. Innovation is born. Innovation is a practice. Innovation comes out of solving problems through collaboration and creativity. You need to start collaborating with people. You need to start diversifying your thoughts, and you need to start thinking in the right perspective, and that is when you'll start innovating. That is when you'll have the kind of purpose in your life, that like the kind of attitude that you require to innovate. Okay. The third thing is that your ultimate aim should be to add value in the supply chain while having a profitable business model, right? So what is a supply chain? A supply chain, for example, okay, just give me a moment. Okay, so let's just take this water bottle. How did I get this water bottle? What is the overall chain of activities that made me get this water bottle? Is what you need to, what that is a supply chain. For example, the first thing could be like the plastic. The company bought some plastic, and then they bought it from somewhere, so that is one process. Then they gave it to someone else, who could you could put water, that is another company. Then they might have hired another company who might have done designing for their stickers. So all these are processes in the overall supply chain, and finally when the bottle is made, the company sells to the customer. But what, as a customer, what you know is that you're buying a bottle from anywhere, but what happens behind is the whole supply chain, right? So you need to learn about the supply chain of whatever business that you're doing, and then you need to understand that how can you add value in any of those small processes. Maybe you can provide better plastic, maybe you could provide better designing, or maybe you could just provide nutritious water. What is your thing? How can you make your value addition in the overall supply chain? That will help you in building a profitable business model. How to approach this? uh, One thing is, there's a business canvas model. There's an author, Steve Blank. He's really good, and you can start seeing his videos online as well. So there's a business canvas model. No matter what product or service you want to start, you can start mind mapping. You can start putting your thoughts about the business on a business canvas model, so that you can understand better that where are you going with this. The other thing is that start doing qualitative research. What I mean by that is that start going to people who are already doing something like that, and start talking to them, and understand the value proposition. So as I told you before, that you need to understand that you where are you in the process, where you can add something which is not present right now, and something which will be appreciated by the customer. uh, so the third thing is that if you can't make profit from the beginning and have to rely on investors, your product has to be highly valuable. Why I want to talk about is, for example, if you're not making a Twitter or Facebook, if you don't have like millions of dollars of funding behind your model, it is going to be next to impossible to make it highly valuable in the market. If you want to start, if you just make an app that can be used by everyone else, and you will just get like small margin of money from your app, you need a lot of financial investment, and you need to have something which is really really attractive and needed right now, and that is when you might get investments for that, and that is when you might be able to make it valuable. But that is a very long term strategy. If you are Reliance Geo, if you are Reliance, you have like a lot of money, then you can start decreasing price, and you can start selling things for cheap. But if you don't have any money, you can't do anything, right? So start thinking about money from the beginning process. Okay, start bootstrapping. That is called bootstrapping. Follow the lean startup model. All right. So yes, no question. Okay. So is there anything that you're not able to understand? I think it is quite overwhelming, this kind of information. If there is anything that you can't understand, just shoot a message. Okay. Because this presentation is just going to get over. Just give me 5 minutes, and then I'm going to talk about whatever you guys want to learn. So the last thing that I want to say is that you can start following the lean startup model. Do the trial and error approach, start doing things, and then learning them. You don't have to wait 3 months for the overall project. Just start, make the prototype in 1 month, shoot to the customers, just go and tell them that like this is what we have made, just give us a feedback, and learn from the feedback. Keep improving your product, keep deploying your product, and just keep improving it. That is the overall trial and error approach. But there are other things as well, and it depends on your product or your service. Okay, so try to be very specific. Recommended books are 0 to 1. That's a must. If you want to learn about entrepreneurship, read it. It's super nice. A lean startup is nice because it gives you an approach. Influencers, I think Ray Dalio is amazing. He has written a book called Principles. All of you can read it. It's not about entrepreneurship. It's about being. It's about improving your decision making. So I would recommend that. And so what am I doing right now? And then we'll start with the questions. Okay. I did my masters, then I got an internship in Europe, which is kind of a big deal. I've written a blog on it because I really struggled, and then I learned about the whole process. If anyone is in Europe, or if anybody wants to go to France, for example, I'll be happy to let them know the kind of difficulties that they can face and the kind of preparation that they need to do. But in any case, I got an internship at Amadeus IT Group in customer strategy, data strategy. And after that, I just realized that I had a business idea since, like, during my masters, and I realized that this is the time when I can do it. So I have started working on another business with some of my friends from my masters, and that's it. So I am not that. I mean, I am a 2016 pass out, so it's not a lot of years that I've had after my university, but I have tried to do some different things. So let me know. All right, let's start with the questions now. I'm sorry if it was a lot of things in a short time, but I just wanted to give everyone a lot of important tips, and I'll make the presentable available to you guys as well if you want to know the books. What kind of business is in demand right now, or maybe in future? Okay, nice. Um, First, let's try to answer it by what is demand. Okay. Uh, what is demand? Okay, let's take the same example of the bottle. Okay, there are five people in Potheri that have started a bottle business, and all of them have started selling Volvic bottles. And the students in SRM, they kind of like the design. They're like, okay, like it's super nice, and they say that it has organic water. There's no bacteria or anything. So let's start buying that. And there's a buzz in the market. Like everybody, there's a word of mouth. Everybody's like, like, have you tried the bottle from Volvic? It's amazing, and then there is a big demand. Like start people start liking it more. That is the sort of buzz that happens in demand. What demand is, basically there is a need for something. Now need can either be created, or need can be something that is already present in the market. There is a need for iPhones, or not iPhones, but for example, there is a need for good food. There will always be a need for good food. So there are businesses that are made on needs, and there are businesses that are made on options or advantages. So what kind of businesses demand depends on the kind of industry that you are aiming at, what and the kind of interest that you have. I would say that start thinking about what is it that you can do the whole day without thinking about anything, and then you start thinking about, uh, can I add something in that? Can I become really valuable in the whole process? So that might be able to answer your question. What kind of business? There's no simple answer to this. There's no simple answer. What was your procedure for applying to colleges for your field abroad? Honestly, I'm not the best person to answer this question. Don't go with my answer. I can recommend you some of my friends who are better at these things. I just did this course because I told you first thing that it was allowing me to work as a consultant, and second thing is that I could go to the Silicon Valley and meet with the startups and our alumni. So this is why I chose the group, because it was quite practical. Like I chose the course because it was quite practical, and the other thing is that I had my relatives in Germany, so I just thought that overall it could be a support for me if I go to Europe, and it's an emerging market. I knew some French, so that were my basics. Like these are not at all the things that I want you to remember. Like just maybe there are people who are really working very hard to make you answer these kind of questions. So there's this friend of mine who works in this area. I can help you. Like just send me a message on LinkedIn afterwards. I'll send you his link. He'll answer you this question. Anything else? What are the strategies we can apply to maximum appreciation from customer? Again, uh, start with start with a trial and error method. Start, just make a prototype of whatever you want to build, whatever app, product, service, whatever you want to do. Start asking. There's a way of approaching them by doing qualitative surveys. There's a way of approaching them by telling them that this is your strategy, and just discussing with the customers. You have to go directly to the customers, and just make a prototype of what you want to make. Be thorough in that you have considered all the different approaches, and make a prototype. Go to the customer, tell them that you are ready to do it. Give them a very average product, doesn't matter. Start learning about it, and then that is when you will realize that is it something that they really appreciate. Because it's there are no vague answers in this world. There are no vague answers, there are no general answers. Everything is specific, and you need to become very specific. And the more you start questioning things by doing them, the more you will understand that there is an answer for every specific thing. It's just that it will take a lot of time to know that. So put your time in knowing those specific things, and you'll be able to understand these kind of strategies, for example. All right, anything else? I am from Hi Utkarsh. Hi, I am from Mechatronics department and would like to have a startup of some technical field such as more energy efficient vehicles. How should I start? Um, what you need to do is that define the term energy efficient vehicles first of all. I mean, that is what you need to do. Take a notebook, take a pen, define energy efficient vehicles. What are energy efficient vehicles in the first place? uh, Write everything that you can about what you know about that, and start researching just that term. Don't continue about anything. Just learn what is energy efficient, what are energy efficient vehicles, and learn everything about it, and then that will be your first step. Once you know everything about your what you want to do, then you will know that what is the value addition that you can do. That you will, then you will understand that okay, like there is a energy efficient vehicle. I am good. I know a lot about tires, or I know a lot about this kind of technology or IoT or any kind of technology. So maybe I should start with that. Or the or any like the other way would be to make a business canvas model, but I would not suggest that. If you don't have any background, it is better to learn about things and then take a business approach. But in any case, you can always start with the business canvas model if you understand everything about revenues or costs or everything. Right. If you guys have any kind of question, I'll be happy. How to approach investors? Well, investors, I mean, the way to approach investors would be first to make something profitable. What I mean by that is that you first need to create everything. You can't just go to an investor with an idea. They will never ever, appreciate it. What you need to do is you have to make a product. You need to run the product, and you need to show numbers to him. You need to show him that okay, this is what I have done, this is what I will do in the future, this is how I have done it, and this is how I'm confident that I will be able to do it in the future. Why? Because I know what is happening in the industry. These are the series of questions that you have to answer, and then you will be able to attract them. Then they'll know that like you have a certain business approach. You have already showed what is required to do, and they will appreciate, and they might be interested by your idea or your product. But honestly speaking, they will never just go with ideas. They have to know, they have to, everything in this world needs metrics. So you need to show numbers, you need to show them that why you are doing it and what you have done till now. It is important to create a need in the market for successful business. Um, all right. So I'll suggest you the same thing, Soumya. Break down the words. What is, first of all, just take the sentence, create a need in the market for successful business. Okay. Just take this sentence and break it down. First of all, what is a market? You need to learn what is a market first. Then and only then will you be able to understand what happens in a market and how can you make it successful. So I would suggest that learn what is a market. Maybe just do like a small economics course. learn everything what happens in a market, what is a market in the first place. Then the next thing will happen, then the next thing will occur to you that okay, this is the market, I know what is it, this is my product, I know the market for this kind of product. And and I can see the potential, I can see that there's a gap and people do require this kind of thing, but they haven't got any kind of service till now. They don't have any kind of products, but they really require it. You can just think about it because you know about the market. And the next thing that you need to do is that once you know that there is a need in the market, you need to validate that by doing surveys, and you need to start building products and giving to people and saying that okay, like this is what I feel, and this is what I have made for you. Please test it and please tell me if it is nice or not. And then you will realize the kind of mistakes that you're making, and then that will end up in a successful business. All right, let's take questions for 10 more minutes, and then you have my email ID. What are the parameters that we consider while making a decision that the particular idea is adding value? That's a really nice question, Ishani. What are the parameters that we consider while making a decision that the particular idea is adding value to the society? All right. First of all, I would appreciate you because the approach is nice. I like the approach that you have tried to break down. You have tried to make it very specific. That's really cool. The other thing is that there are parameters that we well okay. So again, adding value to the society is just very vast. What kind of value are you adding to the society? Like, is it a social value? Is it helping people? Is it a business value in terms of your conduct? You have made a business process and you're making the things easy for the people, or is it just a motivation? Is it just something that is making people entertain? For example, is it an entertaining value to the society? So you need to start thinking about what kind of value are you adding to the society through your product. So once you know whatever you are making, you'll know that this is the kind of society, this is the kind of value that I'm adding. For example, if I have an entertaining app, I know that I am adding value because I am making people laugh, or I am making people interact with each other, which is a kind of value to the society because they are already not interacting that much. I mean, this is just an example. This is not true, obviously, but I'm just telling you that you need to break down these things, and then once you know that what is your product and what is and in general what is the kind of value that you're adding to society, then you'll have the metrics. You'll have the parameters. Okay. But in general, it is very difficult to tell that there are no particular parameters. All parameters changes, it depends on the kind of idea that you have, right? What are the parameters? You can contact me later as well. I think it's a nice question. I'll think about it. All right, let me know if there are no questions. Sir, what is the key to effective time management? Nice. That is also a nice question, Anushka. Time management is also a very vague term, honestly speaking. It's just, see, time is a very subjective thing. Everybody spends time based on what they think is interesting to them. I might like doing something, so I might spend more time for it. So everything is very subjective. What you need to understand is that are you doing something that is really making you do it, or are you doing something just for the sake of it? If you're doing something just for the sake of it, you will only be able to do that till you have to do it. But if you are doing something that you really want to do, then you will be able to put all your time in doing it, right? What For example, but for effective time management, what I would suggest is that always have deadlines. The best way to make ourselves work is to put deadlines and to understand if we can clear them, because without deadlines it's very difficult for us to manage our time. So set deadlines, set a timetable, try to follow it. There's this book called Compound Effect. by Darren Hardy. I would recommend you. It's a really nice book. Maybe it can give you a strategy to for effective time management. Yeah. All right then. It was a really nice session and some super interesting questions. I'll send my LinkedIn ID. You guys can approach me, ask me any questions about anything, and I'll be happy to help you guys. I wish you all the best in your university years. It is going to be amazing. Have a super awesome time in SRM. It's a really nice college. It gives you all the diversity and the freedom to do things. And all right, have a nice day and get in touch with me if you need to know anything. All right then. Okay.
Okay, thank you, sir. I guess that was a really important, very honest business talk. It's important for the young buds who are like just traveling on the road of entrepreneurship to get the
Yeah.
real insight of what's going on. And I would just like to tell you very thank you for
Yeah.
investing your
Yeah.
time for this. And
No, no.
would
I
like
was happy
to
to do
have you
that.
soon in the campus as well.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I would love to do that. Just let me know about the other questions as well. Like it's super fun. So just let me know. I'll answer them on LinkedIn or I'll answer them anyway. And were there any other questions or how does this question thing
Sure,
work?
sir.
Like they were sending you questions and you
So
were.
we'll get back to you later. So with this, we'll be concluding our today's session. Thank you, viewers, for joining us, and we'll be back again with some more interesting alumni talk. Till then, thank you and stay tuned.